The hills are alive with the sound of music. Ah, how do you solve a problem like Maria? I don't know. Do you? No. I am 16, going on 17. I'm looking for a boyfriend. Ralph, I just have to know if you have yourself a car. I am 17, going on 18. I only have my bike, and I'm a Nazi. Ralph, this isn't going to work out. It's not you, it's me. Brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. When COVID strikes, let's move on. Doe, a deer, a female deer. Ray, a drop of golden sun. Yeah, let's go home before we get sunburnt, okay? Hey, Daddy's home. I will not have my kids running around in curtains. Maria, you're fired. Children, off to bed. Edelweiss, Edelweiss. Hold on. I'm happy now. Oh no! Nazis, run! But wait. Oh shoot, somebody's coming. Yeah, hi, please like and share our videos, and if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, be sure to follow and click subscribe. Yeah, that's a great idea. Please make a donation. There should be a donate button. If not, go to bdact.org and there's a donate button, or you could click on the donate tab. Yeah, thank you so much. Goodbye. Oh, hi, President Mike Durr. Yeah, no, I wasn't playing with paper dolls. I don't have that. That would be childish. No, I was doing managing director work. I was telling someone to go to bdact.org to make a donation. Yep, it's all work here. Yep, thanks for checking in. Bye. Welcome, everybody. I'm David Saniter. I have the honor of speaking with some stars from Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. And it's from the show Sound of Music. So we did Sound of Music in 1966 and again in 2001. The 1966 version we have, who was Nancy Parent at the time, now Nancy Santarella, and Mary Nugent, who is now Mary Keepers. 2001, we've got Kim Doyle and Bryce Muenchow. How y'all doing?
We're great.
Great.
Thanks for having us, David. Yeah.
Thank you.
So very, very excited to talk to you guys. Sound of Music, as you know, that's just a huge show. Anytime it's ever been done. How many years later, since 1965, still huge to watch on TV. I was surprised that Beaver Dam Area Community Theater was able to get the rights to do it in 1966, because I think the movie had just come out the year before, and it Oscars and was the highest grossing film at one point. Do you guys remember how big of a deal it was in town to have that show?
I remember how big the film was, and I had seen it that year, and I was a senior in high school and was totally mesmerized by it. And then when I realized that Beaver Dam Community Theater was going to do it, I so wanted to audition.
And you got the part of Maria, right?
I did, but I went to the audition so hoping I would get Liesel, because I was 18. I had just graduated from high school, and I thought Liesel was the perfect part for me. And yeah, it was like right after graduation, and I went over and I knew every word. I knew every song. I knew every note. And I went into the audition, and lo and behold, Marilyn Van Haren was pregnant and was not auditioning. Otherwise, I'm sure she would have been Maria, but she was pregnant, and so I got the role of Maria. And I remember the music director saying, "Oh my gosh, you are such a great sight reader." And I didn't tell her that I already knew every note of the show. She didn't even have to show me the music. I knew it all. So
So
Yeah,
following
I was
following in Julie
thrilled.
Andrews' footsteps, that's a pretty big role to follow. Were you nervous just with how big the movie was to follow after Julie Andrews as Maria?
I wasn't so worried about that. I guess the biggest worry for me was having to kiss Jean Beneke, who was like 20 years older than me or whatever. Yeah, that was probably the biggest nervous. No, I was just thrilled to do the role. It was so fun. Yeah, I loved it, every second of it. But that was a little nerve-wracking, that kiss.
So Nancy, how did you get involved?
Well, my family took all of us to, I have two sisters, and we all went to Milwaukee, which was a big deal then, to a big theater, and we saw in 1965 The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. And I was in love with it right away too. And then I kind of forgot about it because I was all of 7 then. And then in 66, when my mom said, "Hey, you want to audition for Sound of Music?" I said, "Sure." And she said, what are you gonna sing?" I said, "I'm gonna sing for the audition." I had no idea what I was doing. And I sang Moon River. And it's still one of my favorite songs. And
Yeah.
Connie Caney played the piano. I think
Yeah.
it was the first time I saw her in her beautiful clothing and her incredible playing. And then I was just so excited. And then I found out I got to be Gretel and that we were double cast. It was amazing. It was amazing. I had no worries. I was just a little 8-year-old kid having fun.
It was
I
so
remember a
fun.
lot about Mary. I remember a lot about the musicians. I became a musician, so my mind was really focused on Mary and Annette, who is an incredible influence on my life, still is.
Mhm.
Was it, besides your big kiss scene, for you or Nancy, were there any other like challenges that you remember from that version of it? Because I know the theater was still pretty new at that time. We didn't have our
Oh
own.
yes, practice at the Girl Scout house. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah,
Mary,
I sure
We
do.
had tape on the floor of a nursery
Yeah.
school Girl Scout house.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
loved it
a
there.
beat up old, upright grand to
Yeah,
rehearse with.
I loved it.
We
Yep.
were in the one
Wisconsin movie
screen
theater.
movie theater, the Wisconsin theater, right?
Yep.
And we had to be super careful not to touch the screen because it was right there. So we were very forward. And then there was no backstage because that was where the screen was. So we would just exit and run around the back of the theater to change our costumes or to change entrances. It was a hoot. And then because it rained, I mean, everything happened. And we had a trailer in the back too. So we'd be changing costumes like mad in the back. The Sound of Music is an intense costume show. I learned later in my life from being a part of it as a music director.
Yeah.
So it was
Oh my gosh,
incredible.
Nancy and I have the same memory because I was going to tell the story of there was no crossover, like she said, in the theater. So we had to run around the back of the theater to enter from the other side. And one night during dress rehearsal, it was pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I'm running around my little postulant outfit, and the door was locked. And I was like pounding on the door, let me in. And finally somebody came to the door and I ran onto the stage, and because all I could think of was, I'm going to be late for my entrance. I'm going to be late for my entrance. And I ran onto the stage and I was dripping wet and everybody laughed and I just went on. And I thought, that's what they taught me though. You know, that's what it was about. And both David Proctor and Annette and Anne, who was the music director,
Yes.
and everybody was laughing and they were like, this is what it's about. And I've always felt that way, that you make the best of it.
Oh yeah.
Those were
I
great memories.
love that. I think I even remember that story. I
Yeah.
didn't remember until I heard it, but I remember the banging.
One of the most.
And that is it was incredible. That was and is, I assume, such an incredible teacher of acting.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I teach acting or every time I do music directing or choreography or whatever it is I'm doing, Annette is right there with me. I don't deviate from her teachings because they were the best, and they were also, I was like a baby duck with her. I imprinted on her. And Anne was awesome. What was her last name? Cochran or Catherine?
Cochran? Yeah.
Yes, she was an amazing teacher of voice.
I heard a story that one of you was asking about which way Hollywood was with their...
Oh my gosh, that was me. Oh, yes. Yes, you heard that right. So during the summer, I loved sitting in my dad's lap. So I crawled up. I was so ecstatic to be in the play and to learn so much. And I just loved it so much. I asked my dad while I was sitting in his lap, I said, "Which way to Hollywood, Dad?" I also asked
New York.
I also asked my we were Methodist, and I so loved the music from the nuns, and I asked my parents, I said, "How do I become a nun? I really want to become a nun." And then when I was the third thing that my family won't let me forget is that as I was scooching up the stairs to leave in the party scene, my dress, my heel caught the bottom of my dress skirt, and it kind of came off, and then I had to hoist it up. I'm sure the audience enjoyed it very much. Our family always went on a big car trip after the shows. Once 66 happened, we always arranged, because I was in a lot of plays after that. And then we sang, the three girls. Mary, my older sister, was a nun. And
that was your older, I was thinking that was your mom, but that was your older sister.
Yeah, and my mom was in props. She was in right wing. So whenever I came off, there she was to give me a big smile and a hug, which was always nice, and also shoved me in the right direction around the building. And then our sister came and developed crushes on all the boys in the show. So it was really a family affair. We just built up, and then we sang the whole show. We could all three of us could recite every word to the show, and we sang it all the way to Arizona and California and back.
Let's fast forward to the 2001 version for a while, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the things that you've all done outside of BDACT. So let's turn things over to Kim and Bryce for a little bit. So Kim Doyle was the director for South Pacific Sound of Music, 2001. How'd you decide to do Sound of Music?
How did I decide to want to do Sound of Music? I kind of wanted to direct, and I had directed a musical before for BDACT. I had directed Pirates of Penzance in 1994. And one morning I was making my bed, and I flipped the sheets up and I started singing, "The hills are alive," because we always, my mom watched it every year. We watched it every year when I was a kid, and I just said, "I'll direct The Sound of Music." And then I proposed it and I got accepted, and we had a lot of children audition as well, and I suppose I could have double cast it. And I don't know why I didn't. I don't really have, maybe because I was apprehensive about working with children, and because I never had before. I'm not an educator, and I think I might have been a little apprehensive about that. And so we had I swear it was 130, 120
I seem to remember
children.
64 or something, some number
Audition for, I had a really great vocal director in Marcia Paul, and she had the children if during auditions she had the kids lined up and she had them all hold the note, like do, you would have to hold do, re, mi, and then they would all have to hold it. So that's how she could tell if they could hold the note or not, because you have to be able to hold a note separate from everyone else when you're, and that was a really good way of doing that, I thought. And then we had the children's auditions separately from the adult auditions. And then we had a callback that was very extensive. It was more like a Hollywood callback kind of a thing, I think, or we really put them through. We went to her, she was a teacher at the time at the high school, and we had the kids line up, and we had 7 rows of kids. And then we had them all kind of mix up and mishmash, and we had them sing together in different groups. And then we got to the one we liked the best, and that's how we chose the cast. So
Wow.
it was very extensive, yet methodical.
Extensive.
And it was a very tough decision. Every
it's horrible.
child could have played the roles, you know, and
Sure.
we just,
Yeah.
and
It's
I
hard.
was
Oh, I know. I've
very
been there.
difficult.
As a director, I've been there. It's really hard. Yeah.
And I don't know what Bryce can tell you what he thought of on the other end.
I do remember my first interaction once I got to the theater was with Sherry Bourne. And she basically said, if, can you come back the next day? Or because I think there were a couple days of auditions, because there were so many kids. And one thing I remember from that audition was you had us walk in a line around the stage, Kim, and then you would give us like a setting that we were in. And so like you're in a haunted house now, and you're just kind of seeing how we could physically respond and imagine an environment, because obviously there's no set or anything. So so I remember that from the audition. Then I do remember the callback and having the 7 rows of kids and yeah, having to sing from the do re mi song. And there's the one part where you hold out the do and the rest sing the rest of it, and then also the do mi mi so re fa fa la ti ti, that part. And I had the la. Friedrich had la, and that la is just so out of nowhere, but I guess I did it okay. But yeah, we shuffled around, and it was. I imagine it would be like in a Broadway show, like when they're typing, when they're just kind of by looks.
Yeah.
Okay, the 7 of you stand together. Do you look like a family? What's your height?
Right.
Now, let's swap you out for you and you out for you. And
Yeah. And what I did was I had them just step forward, and then the other people went to the back, and then we switched it up a little bit. But that was, but we were very pleased with the results we had.
We were trying to get John Doe Bratz from the 2001 cast hooked up with this, because he's a music educator in Mayville now. So.
Yeah,
Cool.
these 2 guys, him and what was your character name, Bryce?
I was Friedrich, and John was Kurt.
John was Kurt, and they both ended up teaching in the area, coming back to the area and teaching at the high school level of choral directors. So they're both choral directors. I thought that was so cool. I wish John would have joined us.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
knew
it's
these guys were
time of year.
13 and you were both 13, or you're 12? You turned 13 that summer, I think.
Yeah, so my birthday is July 25th, so I think it was during the run of the shows that my birthday was. I remember that.
And was John a year younger than you, or is he same age as you?
Must have been about a year younger than me or so.
Because
he was at one point shorter than me, and now he
that
And
happened.
that was 2001.
That was 2001, and that happened that summer.
Well, that summer,
I kept saying, John, you gotta stop growing. You're gonna pass Bryce up, because we had them all lined up by height,
Yeah.
He told all of us kids to stop growing, and I think I did. I don't know if I started the summer taller than Liesel, but I think I ended the summer slightly taller than Liesel. So didn't follow orders, but yeah. And
for the 2001 version of Sound of Music, do you guys remember any funny stories or any weird challenges that came up?
Well, going back to the costumes, I remember the quickest costume change is from the curtain outfits back to the sailor outfits.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so quick.
Yep.
Georg von Trapp shoos you off stage, and you ran, you changed,
Yeah.
and you didn't have very long to come back, and then you had to start singing The Sound of Music in harmony. You know, I mean, it was a quick.
Yeah.
I had I think, I don't know if Kim, if this was your call but we both, Kurt and I, had designated changers. So mine was Billy Falk, and Kurt's was Jason Orlenko, who's now gone on to his career is costuming. He
Oh, wow.
professor
Wow.
at
That's awesome.
University of Indiana, I think.
Yeah, he's teaching at Indiana.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so
That's
but,
great.
That's pretty
so I
cool.
remember that
Very
changed
cool.
quick. The last thing we always did with the costume changes was a fly check, because the last thing
Yeah.
Yes.
out on
You
stage
gotta
with,
check-
with your
check,
fly
check.
on.
Yeah.
So Bryce, in our one with the kids, at least with me, I had to wear multiple costumes at the same time. So
Yeah.
we layered up and just somebody yanked the one layer.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah, we were fortunate that we were at the the high school auditorium, which had
Yeah. So you had more room.
back, wings on the side.
He
And
didn't
so,
have to pound on the door to get in for his seat. So that's,
no, we did not.
In the rain.
Yeah.
Do professional theater, and in 2007 I did The Sound of Music at the Ordway Music Theater here in St. Paul, and I was Frau Schmidt and a nun, and pretty much all I did was change costume. So I know what you guys went through. It was just running around having somebody strip Frau Schmidt off of me and put the nun on me. And
It is.
didn't you tell me a story once, Kim, that I think it was one of the performances where one of the children missed their
Yeah.
entrances, or
I'll have Bryce tell you that story. John, who had the opportunity to be here, chose not to. We're going to talk about him now. John was ill for one of the performances. He was sick.
he played what role?
Kurt.
Kurt.
Okay.
He played Kurt, and he spent the majority of the performance in the bathroom thinking he was going to throw up. But I was in the tech booth or something, and I had heard about it. Every time Kurt was supposed to come on stage, I was always nervous. Was he going to come on stage, or was he going to be too sick to show up? And what are we going to do if he doesn't come out on stage? So the favorite things scene, which is the thunderstorm,
Mhm.
Bryce took over. John did not show up, and Bryce take it from there.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was my first lesson in The Show Must Go On.
Yeah.
And so I had whoever backstage was prepping me. Okay, so think about the choreography, think about John's choreography, and you're gonna have to cover that, because of course, or it's not my favorite things. It's Lonely Goat Herd in the storm.
Yeah, Lonely
Oh,
Goat Herd.
Lonely Goat Herd, right.
In the bedroom
In the
with the
movie, it's
thunderstorm.
favorite thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it was Lonely Goat Herd, which of course then you're telling the story of the Lonely Goat Herd, and so you have all this stuff going on, and then the lead up to the song is the entrances where all the kids run in because they're scared, and then and
Jump on the
so
bed.
we came up with an alternate line for me to explain Kurt's absence, which I think was something along the lines of, Kurt wanted me to check on you or something like that. and then I do remember during the song, I was on one side of the bed, and it was in the same verse, and I was on one side of the bed supposed to be pantomiming something with Maria, and then I pretty much had to hop over the bed to get to the other side while she traversed, and then had to do John's part. And so we made it through that scene, and so then we were trying, we were coming up with contingency plans on the fly as every scene came. And so the other big one was the Lendler, when Kurt dances the Lendler with Maria.
Oh yeah.
And so they're trying to kind of pseudo teach me the Lendler, although Kurt's not supposed to know it, so I didn't have to know it very well, but I should have at least known which. But Kurt did make it on.
Made it for that. Yeah, he made it on for that.
He recovered.
Yeah.
I remember.
Well, I don't know how if he ever did end up throwing up, but just the fact that he felt sick, was
that's
not
the
good.
thing. At the end of the Lendler, so a bunch of us were gathered. It was stage left wing, we're watching the Lendler, and then Kurt exits stage right. And we're watching from the stage left wing, and he exits stage right, and he immediately gets off the stage, and he like doubles over.
Oh no.
I'm just seeing doubled over from the back, but like he doubles over, and all of us are going, oh no, he just tossed his cookies. He was laughing. And the rest of the show went generally fine, but man, yeah, that was my first experience with like the show must go on.
And he just if you didn't know that wasn't supposed to be that way in the audience, Bryce
and that's the
just really
best
pulled
feeling,
it off.
right?
Yeah, he really pulled it off. Yeah, he did a great job with that.
Yeah, I remember our cast photo for our Sound of Music.
Oh yeah.
And, the joke was the hills are alive with the smell of garbage, because we took it at a landfill.
Oh.
But
the landfill was the only place that I could find hills around here that were big enough with grass on them. So they were big grassy
and
hills.
they are alive in a landfill.
This was big grassy hills. The
That looks
inside
nice.
of them was landfill, but you couldn't smell anything.
No.
You would never know it's a landfill, really.
And I remember.
I thought Bryce was being dramatic.
No, I remember.
Bryce be dramatic? Wait, really?
They were saying we were like, oh, quick, take some pictures, because there's this like big gorgeous cloud that just happened to like come into view and like was right there over the hill, and so we were
right behind you.
Quick taking
Perfect.
our cast picture and our individual pictures, because it was windy. I think my sailor collar thing is like a little upturned.
That's all right.
Slapped around.
Yeah.
That's realistic.
Character.
Yeah, it
Just
so
like a kid.
That's right. Running up over the hill.
I remember Kim, for hearing you express that you were apprehensive, you never worked with kids before and everything. I mean, you did a great job. I remember 4th of July with our parents' permission, but you gave us each a box of sparklers before we.
Did I?
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, for us.
I didn't remember that little bit.
Yeah, no,
Good catch, Kim.
It made an impact.
Any other stories you guys can think of or would like to share?
I wanted to, can I dovetail a little bit on, I watched the South Pacific interview that you did.
Absolutely, dovetail away.
And I just wanted to dovetail off of what Charlie Helfert said about David Proctor and Annette, because something Chuck said that David Proctor was the most delightful person. Like, he was so much fun to be in the room with, and he and Annette were like a comedy duo. Like, they were so fun, they were so engaged, and she was like the straight man to his comedy person. But what I got from them was a safety in the room. Like, there was this, they set up a very fun, very joyful atmosphere, but it was also extremely professional. And I always felt like, yep, this is what it is. This is what theater is about. You set up a very positive atmosphere, but you want to get things done. And you want people to know that they're safe in the room and that we're going to accomplish something. And I always felt that way from the age of 17 to now. What they gave me, like Nancy said, I've carried with me my whole life. Yeah, I went on to direct a lot, like Nancy did when I moved up here to Minneapolis. Did high school directing, and I would go to, what would Annette do?
Yes.
So, often I would say, what would Annette do? And just, I got out my scrapbook, and I have the I still have all the rehearsal schedules and
Wow.
and all of that. And I thought, it's all about being organized and being prepared, but not being authoritarian. Does that make sense?
Right.
That there's such a kindness and such a joyfulness to it.
Absolutely.
And I
Yep.
carried that with me, like you, Nancy. That's so great to hear.
Huge influence. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Well, and Kim is, yeah, I mean, you guys were talking about Annette and Dave Proctor and how they really influenced you. I mean, Kim, getting to work with her over the years, and I mean, she's been in some ways kind of a surrogate mom in a lot of occasions. And
That's awesome.
I mean,
That's the kind of relationship Bryce and I have, Mom.
yeah.
And sometimes I kind of maybe yelled at him a little too much because like a mom would, you know.
but that was I mean, sometimes I needed it too in retrospect. Maybe not at the time, I didn't realize that, but
No, not at the time. You didn't realize that.
And one thing I remember, when this was my junior year, we did The Miracle Worker for our spring play, and I was Helen Keller's father.
Right.
And I had a lot of angry scenes, a lot of scenes, and as a high school actor, I kind of just went from 0 to 100 in terms of from normal speaking to yelling. And Kim really, I mean, she taught me that like there has to be a growth there, and appealed to my sensibilities as a musician. There has to be a crescendo. It has to come from somewhere. It can't just be. And that's probably one of the, when I'm watching a high school cast, that's one of the things that I pick out a lot. And one of the things I'll tell actors is, you can't just go from normal to yelling. Where did that come from? And so
right. Because if you do, then you've got no place else to go when you're supposed to be crescendoing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I always took from Kim was, I mean, Kim, you have such a love of learning. You just, every aspect of the theater, you really dive into. I mean, you did lights and sound at the high school auditorium for quite some time, and so you're very knowledgeable that way. Building sets, directing, and just, I mean, you really kind of,
all aspects.
And instilled that into me. And it was a combination of working with Kim, and then someone once told me to be a well-rounded actor, to be involved with all the aspects of theater, not just acting. Because when you just do acting, you complain about your costume, but once you've costumed a show, you realize the work that goes into it. And so you no longer complain about tech rehearsal running long because they're having to set lights or re-aim lights, or there's an issue. And so I've done directing and sound and lights and set building, and
so important.
And so
I know I used to tell the kids I worked with when I did high school theater that I would tell the actors, I said, every one of you should either stage manage or at least work backstage, but you need to understand what's going on back there. Do some kind of tech thing or costumes or whatever, but don't just think you're on stage. There's so much more to it.
Annette and David Proctor and you, Mary, and everybody taught me, this is fun and it's real, and it's the best thing you can do with other people is tell a story.
To me, theater is magical. It's magic. It's working magic together. It's basically what it is, because you start out with a script and you each have your own interpretation of that, and then you take the director's interpretation and the actor's interpretation and you mix them all together, and then you add in the little spices of the lighting tech and the sound and the set builder, and you put all these little things together and you mix it on a big brew, and voila. It's like there's always that moment in every show where we're not going to make it. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. And boom, opening night, it's magical. So to me, it's like creating magic as an adult. It's everyone has to work together in order to make it all work well.
Right.
And if one part of the wheel doesn't work right,
the puzzle.
One part of the magical pieces don't work right, then you don't get as good a show. But it always makes it. It always makes it somehow. We always just create this magic. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's why I love it.
It is wonderful. Something that I wanted to say, David, and everybody is, every time I'm in front of a group that I'm teaching, whether it's music or presentation or theater or teaching kids their music for the musical theater show or choir, I am so thankful that I grew up in Beaver Dam, with all the people who are still there, the talent and the desire to make something better and bigger than ourselves lives in me. And I hope to give that every day when I teach others or just am with them in conversation. I learned that from Beaver Dam and from theater and music. And I'm always grateful every day I think about it because I'm teaching all the time.
Cool.
So thank you.
That's incredible.
I
And again,
I
thank
agree.
you
And
for-
I just have to say the friendships that I made in 1965 have stayed with me this entire time. I mean, they're just some of our dearest, dearest friends. So I appreciate so much you asking me back to do this. And I think it's
friendship
very
is
cool.
a big part of
Big part, but
big
also
part of
it's
community
just
theater.
having that community and knowing, you know, how there's such a, community, I guess is the big word there.
Yeah, I mean, we want to put on a great show, but
Absolutely. And that's
you know,
what
people
I was
aren't going to
saying
want
in
to
the
do it and
beginning,
come.
that it was, they set up this, and I think I can tell you still are, you set up this groundwork of joy and fun, but we're here to do a good show.
That's right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and that's what I loved about it, that I wanted it to be good. You know, I didn't want to just go there to play. I wanted it to be good.
These are all so impressive, just with the performances you have done and going on to doing different things. Nancy said there wasn't theater in one of the places where you were at, so you just started one. And I mean, that is all just so incredible.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate everything you guys have done at BDACT, everything you have done outside of BDACT. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Yay,
David.
thank you.
Thank
We'll,
you,
see you
Kim,
all
Bryce,
soon, I hope.
Nice seeing you all.
Nancy.
Nice
Bye,
meeting you.
Kim. Bye, Bryce. Thanks, David. Bye, Mary.
Happy
Bye-bye.
summer.
Yes.
You
Be
too.
well, everyone.